Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike, the creator of the One Life podcast, believes most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike wants you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities and creates an equal playing field for all. On the One Life podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much, much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number one NE Life. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back to the One Life podcast. I am Mike M.I.C. Reed. Here we talk about positive psychology while taking care of our well-being and telling your story because everybody has an amazing story. In studio today, we got my friend James Coomes from the LA Department of Mental Health, AV.
Yep.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
For coming on. I've been wanting you on here for a while. Ever since I met you, I think, where did I meet you? At the DV?
Somewhere. We met somewhere in the
I
community.
met you speaking. And just hearing you speak was inspiring.
Thank you.
And I was like, after the event, and typically, because I grew up in entertainment, typically after events or something, I just go out. I don't really talk to the speakers or nothing.
Yeah.
But I was so intrigued by, what you said at that event. I think it was a DV, domestic violence event.
Okay.
And I was just so inspired by your words. I was like, I got to meet this guy. But then you had a bunch of people surrounding you. I was like, I'm never going to meet this guy. And I didn't want to seem like, because I probably knew everybody there because it was mostly women that really wanted advice and trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted your phone number. I know that sounds weird.
That's okay. No,
but I wanted to connect with you, off site, to talk about mental health and all that. But I finally did get a chance.
Yes.
I was patient. I'm a very patient person. But ever since then, it's like, wow, you're amazing.
Well,
you do a lot. I don't know your official title.
So my official title with the county is I am a mental health program manager 3. Everything's got some bureaucracy to it and stuff. What that means, and historically they've called it a service area chief or a service area program manager. So what I'm responsible for is I've got 7 colleagues that are all responsible for all of the 8 service areas in Los Angeles County. Okay. And I have a number of other colleagues that are responsible for county-wide programs as well. So between all of us, we take responsibility for an area or a particular program county-wide. And then we love on the community. We get connected in the community. We do everything we can to make sure people get access to care. We're doing everything we can to reduce stigma around access to mental health. We're troubleshooting. Sometimes navigating these systems is not easy. So what we try to do is we try to love on these communities and just be as connected as we can.
I love that. I want to start off with you and your story.
Sure.
Because my show is all about your story. As I say, everybody has an amazing story. Like if you really just sit down and talk to people, like, wow, you do have an amazing story. Like, everybody has a story. So how did you get into mental health? Like what inspired you to get into this field?
So I was at UCLA. I was studying psychology, and I almost failed out of school. Actually, I thought I wanted to go into psychology. That I get to work with people and stuff like that. And I was struggling actually with a particular research class. There's another story, a longer story that goes along with that. But I was really struggling with this class. The advisor at the department suggested maybe I need to think about doing something else. I remember wandering across campus, and I came across something called the sociology department. I didn't know what it was, but it's psychology kind of focuses on the individual and the brain. Right. And then sociology focuses like on the community and how we interact with each other in the community, the person and the environment. I credit my career to a guy named Professor Melvin Oliver. Mm-hmm. He was a professor. He was running this thing called the Center for the Study of Urban Poverty at UCLA. Been around for a minute, and he became a mentor of mine. And so what I did was I accepted the mentorship and I was open to it. And he's the one that said, you're going to become a social worker. I'm like, okay, I don't know what a social worker does. We're going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. My mom, by the way, was telling me I was going to be a social worker. And I, of course, was saying, no, I'm not going to become a social worker because my mom was telling me I was going to become a social worker. So he's the one that actually guided me in that process. I ended up doing grad school at UCLA, specialized in public child welfare and worked in child protective services for a couple of years. While I was in school, I did an internship with the Department of Mental Health. And after a couple of years with DCFS, I ended up going back to Department of Mental Health and working as a clinician there. and just kind of invested in whatever I was doing. So I started out in a children's mental health program, started doing some administrative work, started working with adult programs. I ran a crisis mental health center for about 15 years or so down in Sylmar, and about 2.5 years ago came back up to the Antelope Valley. A long time ago, I used to be the program manager at Antelope Valley Mental Health Center. Okay. So I'd already had a connection in the community, and this is a community. When I was here, I was up here about 2005 or so, and what I remember at the time was that we were limited in resources. We were limited in services. My boss at the time, she's passed away, unfortunately. Her name was Joellen Perkins, and she was my predecessor in this couple predecessors back in the role that I've got now. So hopefully I'm doing right by her. But she was like really advocating and fighting for services for the Antelope Valley community. And where we're at now, it's kind of funny. I laugh about this now because I'm back, like almost 20 years later, I'm back in the Antelope Valley. And the first thing I noticed is there's so many good restaurants out here. Yeah. There was nothing. But the cool thing about it is this is a community that fights. This is a community that is scrappy, knows what it needs, and doesn't take no for an answer. And I love just kind of getting in and loving and supporting what this community does. So I'm grateful to be here and appreciating the relationships that we're able to establish. But that's kind of my path of how I got into mental health and how I ended up here.
So I want to go back even further now.
Sure.
Because what intrigues me is I always want to know, like, as a kid, how far you want to go back.
Yeah.
Kind of just give us a brief. As a kid, did you know you want to help people or get into psychology and just know about that, or?
So real talk. I love my parents. I am adopted, by the way.
Okay.
Love my parents. I've got a good relationship with them now. It wasn't always easy. We were dealing with some pretty serious stuff as a kid and everything. My mom received mental health services. Side note, at one point, my mom was really upset with me, and she's like, I need to tell my staff that my mom receives mental health services because she didn't like the way I was treating her. Mm-hmm. So I needed to tell my staff so my staff would get mad at me. So I did exactly what my mom told me to do. Right. Told all my staff that my mom was a consumer and everything, received services and stuff. We did a grand opening for the Crisis Mental Health Center, and I remember the director and the chief deputy director were holding the doors open for my parents to walk in and check this out, and they were proud of me and stuff. But my mom's looking at me, and she's like, did you tell them all that I have mental health needs? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I did exactly what you said. She's like, I didn't mean for you to actually do that. So I grew up in a family that we love each other. We're still all connected. My parents are divorced, but are inseparable. They got divorced back in the 90s, and wherever my mom is, my dad's at, and vice versa. So it's crazy like that. But I grew up around it. And then, as I mentioned before, my mom was telling me I was going to become a social worker. And I think it was because she was telling me I was going to become a social worker that I didn't want to become a social worker, but I didn't really understand. But what I do remember is being involved in community all the way along. From being a little kid, lived overseas for a couple of years, at elementary school, high school, just being involved in community. Okay. And so getting into sociology and then getting into social work has just been an opportunity to continue that and just to continue to connect with people.
So it was always in you.
It was always in me, but I didn't know.
Because you was around it. But you didn't know, yeah.
I was around it. I didn't know. But the mentorship piece, and I know you do some mentorship as well. The mentorship piece was so critically important because I remember lots of points in my life where I just felt lost. And the ability to just be vulnerable and to lean on other people to carry you through, that's the thing that I love about what all of our staff are doing, regardless of the program that they're in, because they're there to help pick people up when they're feeling lost, when they're feeling disconnected, and helping them get back connected into community. It's a beautiful thing.
No, yeah, I mean, that's kind of almost similar to my story. I was just talking to one of my teammates. Like I said, I am into mentorships, and I train teams. And I was just talking to one of my team members today, actually, about because he asked me a question about how I got started and what did I do when I was young, because he knew I was homeless at the age of 14. Yeah. He was like, how did you get through that? And it was like, when I grew up in Inglewood. Okay. So I don't know if you know my backstory. I
don't know a lot about your backstory. So
I'll tell it again. I love talking about it because I'm not ashamed of it, and I hope my story one day inspires somebody and it just helps them. And that's kind of why I do this show.
Cool.
This has kind of been my therapy. Like talking about it, like I had a 35-year career in film and television.
Right.
Behind the scenes.
Okay.
Never pictured myself in front of the camera on the microphone. None of that. Like I never loved my sound of my voice or how I looked.
Right.
So for me to be doing this right now is crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so at a young age, my mother was murdered, because she was trying to kill me, and I had to witness that at a young age. I was very young, but so I didn't have my mom, didn't have my dad around, and I was, like I said, I was homeless at 14. I grew up in a gang neighborhood, and like I was telling my teammate earlier, I was like, you know what? Even though I was like hanging out with the gang members and just drug dealers and all that,
Right.
I would always like tell friends of mine, like, this ain't fun. It's not fun watching you guys beat each other up, getting drunk, getting high. Like, it just wasn't fun to me.
Yeah.
And so eventually at 14, I just left. Like literally just walked out of the neighborhood, and I started walking through other neighborhoods, searching for something better. Like I didn't know what that was at the time, but I knew at 12 years old that I knew it was something better out there. Yeah. I knew this wasn't the life I wanted to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just knew it. I didn't know why I knew it. Mm-hmm. I think part of it was my oldest sister. She was working with kids with disabilities on the weekends, doing activities with them. Okay. And at 12 years old, she used to take me on some Saturdays with her. And I didn't know at the time that God was actually preparing me, because when I finally turned 25, I had my son, and he was born with cerebral palsy. So he was born with a disability. Mm-hmm. So now that in hindsight, that I think about it, it was like, wow, he was preparing me way back then. Yeah. And just being around, kids with mental health problems and disabilities, like I had fun. Like that was fun for me. Yeah. Like, so remember hanging out at the park and doing all that other stuff wasn't fun. Yeah. But hanging out on a Saturday morning with kids with disabilities, playing games with them, activities, that was fun. Like I looked forward to that.
And you were preparing for it before you even knew you were preparing for it.
Right. Like I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of a little bit of my backstory.
Thank you.
But yeah, and it's crazy how just even going through entertainment, like I was blessed to have, like you, a mentor. Like finally, I think when I was, I want to say 19, I got a mentor, and he brought me into entertainment. Mm-hmm. Then I met this other guy. So I have two mentors back then. Then I think when I was 20, 21 or something like that, another guy became a mentor of mine. He was an executive producer for film and television. Okay. At the time, I had a graphic design company, like just hustling out there in the street, just drawing, because I was in music at first. Okay. I was doing people's CDs and album covers. Oh, cool. And then he saw some of my work one time. An executive producer from PERMAH TV saw my work. I was like, and my friend was like, hey, he wanted to meet with you. And I was like, what? Like, he wanted to meet with me, little old me? So I went down to PERMAH in Hollywood off Sunset and went down to the PERMAH studios and met with him. He was impressed by my work, and he was like, man, I want to hire you for all of my shows. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. He was like, but here's the deal. He was like, I'll pay you for this one project. Okay. It's like a one-off. I'll give you whatever you want. Or, because I'm on a budget right now, you come work for me, work on all my shows, and I can only pay you a little bit. Okay. But I'll teach you everything I know. Instantly, I was like, duh, yeah, I'll do that. Like, you going to teach me all this? Yeah. No brainer. Yeah. Like, easy, yes.
That's fantastic.
So he's been a big brother mentor to me ever since. I worked on all his shows. So, I mean,
you still in touch with him?
Oh yeah,
good,
100%. Good. That's my big brother.
Good. Yeah, Professor Oliver actually, after he left UCLA, he actually at one point was the president of Pitzer College. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and so I would email him every once in a while and thank him. I'm sure he probably mentored hundreds of students and everything. So hopefully I wasn't irritating him, but really everything that I've accomplished is because of him. So I've really wanted to pay homage to that and name that. So I'm glad that you're still in touch with him.
No, yeah. I mean, we talk. We're not in touch as we used to be a long time ago, but we check in with each other at least a couple of times a year.
That's cool.
And just kind of touch base. But yeah, he's amazing. Okay. Not even thinking about it now, the knowledge that he's given me. Yeah. Like, all this stuff. He taught me how to do all this stuff.
That's fantastic.
Like, without him, I would not do none of this. He taught me everything from production, from the groundwork, how to develop a show, all the way to being an executive producer. That's which fantastic. I've done. Yeah, I got all the titles, but all the knowledge that he gave me, like for him to say, "I'll pay you whatever you want," like he was serious. Yeah, he was like, "I'll pay you whatever you want, but it's just going to be a one-off." Right. Or you can come work for me, and it's like, it's priceless. Like what he gave me. Yeah, like, you couldn't put a number on that.
Yep. That's fantastic.
This is amazing.
Thank you for that.
And he taught me a lot of life lessons too. Not only just, how to do all this stuff, but he taught me life lessons.
Yep.
And one thing I'm grateful for him about is that he never gave up on me. As many times as I messed up, and I messed up a lot.
Yeah.
He could have fired me so many times.
Yeah.
Like even 10 years into it, he could have still fired me because I was still messing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He never gave up on me.
He saw something in you.
Yeah,
He saw something
never
in you.
gave up on
That's
me.
fantastic.
Like he took breaks with me.
Yeah,
but
we all need
it always
that every
circled
once
back. Yeah, always circled back. He let me mess up too. He was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself.
Yeah.
But he was always there to catch me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, man, this dude.
I had a guy in graduate school, Joe Nunn, Professor Joe Nunn. He's retired now and everything. And we used to call him the tune-up master. Every 3,000 miles, you knew you needed to go back for a tune-up. So, it's good to check in every once in a while.
Good way. Yeah, so, yeah, man. So even like now, the mentorship thing that I'm doing. And by the way, while we're talking about, thanking our mentors and that, I want to thank you.
For what?
Oh, come on, man. You going to make me say it?
I honestly don't. I'm here with you today.
No, so obviously, and a lot of my viewers know this, a lot of my faithful followers, and I appreciate you guys for always sticking with me. What was it, 8-9 months ago now, I was going through a rough period.
Yeah.
And I was at a candlelight vigil when we met up again.
Saw each other there?
We saw each other there, and I was there because I was having a rough time, but I wanted to be there because Tamiko, rest in peace, she was a friend of mine. Yeah. But I was going through a rough time, and I literally thought my life was over because I was in a storm. Like, I think it was like 7 or 8 different things. I know I keep talking about it, you guys, but this is my therapy, so
it's okay.
But I was going through a storm. It was 7, 8 things that literally that crashed, like I was telling you that night in 1 week.
Yeah,
I couldn't see past my own shoe. Like I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm 53 years old. I was like, there's no way I can start over. Yeah, like I thought I lost everything, like literally everything. Yeah. Not even exaggerating one bit. Like I didn't even have food. Andrea Alacron, thank you. She's a good friend of mine. I love her to death. That night, because she was there. Yeah. That night, she made a phone call. The next day, I had a house full of groceries. Oh, cool. So like I literally didn't have money for food, nothing. Like I lost everything. And it's bizarre to even like think about, how did you lose everything? So when I try to tell people, like, life can change in a heartbeat.
We just saw it these last 2 weeks.
Yes. Like when I say that is real, because I continue to have these uncomfortable conversations that I'm trying to normalize. And I know my friends are like probably mad at like stop talking about that. But I'm like, no, literally, we're not promised tomorrow. Like we can lose everything tomorrow. Yeah. Like you think you have everything and you think, well, how can I lose this? Yeah. No, it can happen. Yeah. 100%. Like you said, like a lot of people just lost their home. Like would never have thought in a million years that would happen. Yeah. So that week when I lost everything, it was like, even I was still questioning, like, how is this happening like that? This is crazy. Where I come from a good career, I made a lot of money, I like own my own home. Like, how did I just lose everything in a week? Yeah, it's just like things happen for real. Yeah. So, anyways, that week, mind you, I know a lot of people, and I'm grateful for all the connections and the friends I made. And I know people was trying to tell me, what to do. Like they were telling me all the generic stuff, right? Which again, I'm grateful for. I'm not trying to minimize any of that. But for me, because I've studied positive psychology over the last few years, like I had the tools. Like I guess I just didn't want to hear the generic stuff. Yeah. Like I was really searching for something else. Yeah. Like I needed to hear something different. Yeah. Right. So I remember meeting with you that night and you having a conversation with me and to keep it 100, like I was really having suicidal thoughts. Yeah. And I remember the first thing you said to me after I was telling you what was going on, you was like, okay, but I'm not leaving here unless I know that you're safe. Like, are you okay? Do you feel like you're going to harm yourself? Like you gave me the speech. I was like, no, I think I'm okay. But, I still had the thoughts, but I still don't even remember what I was thinking that night. But I know I was having the thoughts like, I just wanted life to be over. Like, I not that I wanted to harm myself. Yeah. But I just kept telling, like, my close friends, like, I'm not mad if I don't wake up in the morning. Like, I'll be okay. Like, I'm not mad. Like, I actually hope I don't wake up in the morning. Because I don't want to face another day where it's just, like, I don't know what to do. And to be a grown man, my ego was shot too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do I not know what to do right now?
Yep.
You know? So like I said, when I was searching for something, and I just remember you telling me step by step, take one step at a time.
Exactly. That's it.
It was the simplest thing, right? And I actually did that.
Good.
So it was a couple. It was you, my first ex-wife. I have two of them. My first one that I had my two kids with. Okay. I was married for 25 years, so it was like your parents.
Yeah.
Me and her are best friends to this day.
Yep.
She calls me if she don't hear from me like in 3 days, she would call me.
Good.
You all right?
Good.
Like, yeah, I'm good. She's like, all right, cool. Just checking on you. Like, we are so good friends. Like, I love her to death. And she's my first ex-wife. We're still family.
Good.
But anyway, so it was her. I remember her sending me a text during that week, because she always checks up on me. She reads my stuff on social media, and she sent me a text. She was like, "This is not the Mike that I know. Yeah. The Mike I know does not give up on anything. He's a hustler. He goes after what the fuck he wants." And she literally said it to me. She was like, "I don't know this Mike right now." She was like, call me when that Mike comes back, because this ain't the Mike I know." Yeah. But when she said that, I was like, because she knows me better than anybody.
And she's in relationship with you. I want to lift that up. You've got people, you may feel like in that moment where it's like nothing's worth living for anymore, right, but you have people around you that care about you. And being in community, being in relationship is so critically important.
Yeah. So the next day, it was actually the next day when she had sent me that, right? Yeah. And then, so I went home the next day. Then I thought about what you said. And then I have another friend, too, that I remember her telling me. She was like, "Mike, stop overthinking it. Stop looking at the big picture." She was like, "What can you do today?
Yep.
What small task can you do right now?" Yeah. And I was like, okay, her and James are saying the same thing. Baby steps. Yep. One step at a time. Yep. So that's literally what I did. I just literally one day said, you know what? I could do this today. Yep. And complete it. Yep. Like, I'm not setting myself up for failure, not doing something that I know I can't complete. Right. So I did something that I could complete, even if it was small. And I'm being honest when I say getting up, making your bed. Yeah. Cool. And that's why a lot of people say, first thing you do, make your bed, because you completed one task.
Don't tell my spouse that.
Yeah.
Oh. Let's pick another thing we do.
I'm a firm believer in that, James. When I tell you I make my bed every morning, and I've done that for the last 35, 40 years. Good. Like, I literally make my bed. Because it really does help. Like, you see you did something. Now go complete another task. Yeah. Like a small task. That's it. So during that time, that's exactly what I did. I literally was doing one task. I was like, okay, cool. And then for the rest of the day, I didn't do nothing. Like, I wasn't trying to overwhelm myself or anything. And I'll just sit there. Okay, cool. Next day, get up. Cool. Do another task. Yep. And I started doing that. Yep. And all of a sudden, the smoke started to clear little by little. You got it. And I started thinking clearly. Then I started attacking bigger steps, doing bigger tasks. Like, okay, what's more important? I didn't have my car. Didn't have no financing no more because I lost the business. Then so I was like, okay, I need money. I need a car. I need money. So I think I went after the money first. Money. So that's okay. I went after the money first. I saw finally got an income again. Cool, got an income. Yeah. Next thing I need a car. Got a car. I don't even know how I got a car. I got a brand new car. Well like brand new car. I got a car. I got a brand new car. I was like, cool. So once I got flowing income now, right? Got a car. Now I'm able to move around, do some things, and little by little things started happening.
So how quickly did it turn around for you? From when you were at rock bottom, how quickly did things turn out? Was it like a week? Was it a month? Was it 3 months?
I want to say for me to really be, okay, I'm doing this, I'm good. Yeah. About a month.
Yeah, about a month.
Okay.
And it changed quickly.
It changed quickly. And it's crazy because I was dating somebody who I've always wanted to be with. And we had broken up. Yeah. Like maybe, I want to say, a year prior to that. Yep. And during that time, I was starting to get things together. She reached back out to me. Okay. And I was like, huh. Like all this, it was a time where things were starting to go, and then she reached back out to me. I was like, and I've always wanted to like get back with her. Okay. Like, because we didn't break up on bad terms. And I was like, hey, I really wanted another shot at her. Yeah. And she came back into my life. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah. And so even with her support, like, she was like, Mike, I was telling her what happened. She was like, Mike, I'm proud of you. Like, she was like, don't give up. Because I was going to quit my show and everything. She was the one that was like, don't quit your show. She's like, no, you're needed out here.
Yeah.
She's like, you do amazing things.
Yep.
So even with that, now I got somebody on my side that's lifting me up.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of helped.
Good.
So I started really putting the people that I needed to lift me up, like right next to me.
Good.
So yeah, it about a month to where I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, it took obviously a little longer to get everything back, but
it takes time. It takes time. Yeah. That's the thing. So I was working in crisis intervention for a long time. I still do a little bit of it. One of the things that we know is we need to help people just get through that moment. Yeah. We don't want anybody to make a rash decision that could change everything, including their life and everything. So in some cases, I've heard that it can be as little as like 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes to just keep people in that space and take care of them. Right. We've got all sorts of resources through the Department of Mental Health that we can provide interventions. We are authorized to do what's called an involuntary hold or a 5150 hold, 5585 for kids. But we don't have to necessarily do that if we can help keep that person in that space. And you've heard the phrase, this will pass. Yeah. That's exactly what happened in your world and everything. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to provide an intervention that addresses the immediate need and to slow things down and to help the mind's racing and everything. Or it's just focused on one thing. Slow that mind down a little bit. Take some moments to do that and everything. Get some rest, get some food, get some water, whatever it may be. But be with each other. I don't know if you remember. I remember that night very well when we were connected in the park and everything. And I had no intention of going anywhere.
No, I know you
did. Until I felt comfortable that you were okay. And I don't think Andrea felt the same way.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Yeah, she wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah. So that's anybody can do that. It's just simply being present with other people.
100%.
And we absolutely can do that. And then I love the fact that you're saying it was a month, and everything came back together. I mean, it built from there. It wasn't necessarily perfect in a month. But it was a much different position than it was from when you were feeling like everything was gone.
Right. And I think, even for me, like I said, I've studied positive psychology and well-being these last few years. So I knew how I was feeling.
Good.
I knew that this can all get better. Mm-hmm. I think for me, it was like, because I've always fought all my life for things. Yeah. And like even with the adversities of my mom and dad not being there. And the homeless, like all the adversity things that I've been through. Yeah. I think I was tired.
Yes.
Like mentally tired, like, because everything I've ever had, I've had to fight so hard for. Right. So at that age, I was like, damn, why am I still fighting? I honestly, I felt tired. And I think that's why, again, I was searching for something different to help me in that moment. Like I didn't want to hear generic stuff. Oh, Mike, it'll be okay. Mike, everything happens for a reason. Like I didn't want to hear all the generic stuff. Like I needed something different.
Sometimes just being in a moment with someone when you're feeling it and just say, this sucks. And then the person that's with you is like, yeah, this sucks. You know what? You say right there.
You know what? And there's a couple of other things that helped me too. And I'm telling you, that's why I said I was looking for certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Let me give you two examples of things that helped me. I had a friend who, I think it was a couple of days after the park. She came over to my house after I told her I didn't want to be around nobody. Yeah. She came over anyway. She was like, I'm coming over anyway. Yep. She came over, and I was sitting on my bed. I was laying in my bed. Yeah. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do nothing. And she was like, we don't have to talk. I'm going to sit at the edge of your bed until you're ready to talk. Yep. She was like, and she literally came from work. She bought her computer. She's like, I'm just going to sit on my computer here and do work. Mm-hmm. We don't have to talk. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you're doing, but I'm going to sit right here and work. And whenever you're ready to talk, I'm right here. Yep. She literally sat there for 5 hours before I said a word.
There you go.
And so when I tell you sometimes you don't need to say nothing to nobody, just being, like you said, just being present.
Just be present.
That was like the biggest thing for me. And I was like, damn. Yep. She literally sat there for 5 hours working. Yep. While I was just watching TV. Half the time I was looking at her like, you crazy. Yeah. If you want to sit there. But so it helped, though.
It does. Something that I've done this in different workshops in different spaces, is talk about different resources that are available. And there's a lot of resources out there. But the thing is when somebody's feeling it in the moment, sometimes it's hard to connect with any of that. Yes. But there's some good things out there. So, for example, Department of Mental Health has a phone number. It's their access line. It's 800-854-7771. It's staffed 24 hours a day. There's all sorts of folks there that can provide all sorts of crisis resource materials. It's someone just to talk to. It's like one of those 24-hour hotline kind of things. There's also a number called 988, which is great as well. But if that's feeling like too much, just simply having the phone number of somebody that you can connect with in your phone and everything. And so what I've done sometimes is I've shared those resources, and I'll end by just, here's one more number. And I tell people to pull out their cell phone, and they plug in my cell phone number. I said, good, you know somebody that you can call right away. So if you're not feeling it there, I'm almost giving them permission. Call me. And we can all do that for each other. And that person, the person that was just sitting at the end of your bed for 5 hours, it's a lot of time, but they were committed to supporting you. That's a big deal.
It is. So that was one thing that helped too. Another thing is the lady I told you that came back into my life. When we had first met, she had gave me a gift, and it was a cross, and it says, "Be still and know."
Yep. What's that mean to you?
Oh, look. I actually got it tattooed on my thing.
There you go. Okay, tell me what does be still and know mean to you?
Be patient. That God knows. God, everything's gonna be all right.
Yep.
Know that He got you.
Yeah.
And everybody know I don't like to preach. Kind of like I respect everybody's religion, so I don't really like to get into it. But everybody know God is my foundation. That's why I got it tatted on me. But be still and know just means know that He is there. Know that He sees what you're going through. Know that He feels your pain, and know that He is not going to leave your side. He is not going to leave your side. He is not going to leave you like that. He's putting you through something for a reason.
And you're not alone.
Yes, you're not alone.
You're never alone.
Never alone.
Yep.
And that's why I got that on my right there.
It's fantastic.
I'm always looking at it. Like when I'm having a bad day or something, I'm always looking at it like, and that's why it's right there. Yeah. Like, all right.
So I got to ask you. I always ask people this question as well and everything. I don't have any tattoos. Did it hurt?
No.
See, I can't. My kids got some tattoos. I can't do it.
No, I have a whole sleeve up here.
See, that just gives me the willies, man. I can't. I don't know. I can't.
But
I'm not
my
tough
tattoos actually mean something.
Yes.
Like I have my kid's name.
Yes.
I got a big cross right here.
Awesome.
And I got the like when I was in entertainment, so the film reel.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm supposed to finish it off with the stuff that I worked on.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have it. So my tattoos actually have meaning. Like this has a meaning.
Yeah.
Like somebody gave me that, and it meant the world to me because she cares about me. Yeah. Like and that's what it means to me. Like, and because she's very into the God, and she's like, that's why she gave me that cross. She's like, always know that He's there.
Yeah.
And that meant something to me. So
my daughter's she's probably be upset with me talking about her tattoos and stuff because I can't talk about my own tattoos because I don't have any tattoos. So she's actually got she did it while she was off at college and stuff like that. And she's got a bouquet of carnations because that was her grandmother's, my mother-in-law's favorite flower, and we lost her a couple of summers ago to pancreatic cancer. A beautiful woman, battled for 5 years. It was unbelievable, but it was hard. The second tattoo, and it was funny because she was telling me this because she thought I was going to be upset that she was getting tattoos and everything. She's a grown woman. She can do whatever she wants.
Right.
She got this little bumblebee on her shoulder. And when she was a kid, we used to have this like Winnie the Pooh mobile and everything, and it would play this song called Lullaby. And they came out with a cartoon that did it. So she went and found like the cartoon and found like this little sleeping bumblebee and everything, and got that. I was like, you can't be mad at her for getting. I can't be mad at her for getting tattooed. I'm still not getting a tattoo, but I can't be mad at her for that.
Some spots on your body do hurt, but mostly it feels like someone is taking a knife and just like cutting you.
I'm still not doing it.
Yeah, it feels like because they're the shading, and it just feels like a needle literally is cutting you. But I mean, you get used to it.
Okay. So
you get used to it.
So if I do decide to ever do that, you're gonna be the first person I'm gonna call and everything to get some tips and everything. But I still think I'm gonna
don't drink alcohol.
Won't do that.
Yeah. Well, no, because most people think, okay, I'm gonna get drunk, so I can't feel it.
Yeah.
But what that does is it thins your blood.
Makes you bleed more.
It makes you bleed more. So that's the worst thing to do. I get the concept because you don't want to feel it, but that ain't gonna help.
Yeah. No,
you're still gonna feel it. But but anyways, thank you, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think about that to the day. Yeah. The words that you say, and when people ask me how I got through it, I tell them, I say, a couple of people, when I mentioned you, like you told me, just take one step at a time. Yep. One day at a time. Yeah. And you eventually get through it. Like you said, all things pass.
So there's a whole body of knowledge out there around mental health and how to deliver mental health services and how to do assessments and treatment techniques and all this stuff. And we can do medication services, and we can do different types of therapy groups, and there's different diagnoses and things we can do. But the one thing that all of us can do, regardless of whether you're a mental health professional or not, is just be there in the moment with someone and let somebody know that you care, even if it's in silence, and that's the first step. So one of the things that happened, and we can go there or not go there if you want to, but one of the weird things in my past with the work that I've been involved in, I got trained as a hostage negotiator. And I was doing that through the Department of Mental Health and with the LA County Sheriff's Department for about 10 years, 8 or 10 years or something like that. And the one thing that we do is we slow things down.
Yes.
So when there's a crisis, slow things down, because the mind's racing a mile a minute. People make rash decisions that they can't take back or anything like that. So regardless if somebody's a mental health professional or not, it's about starting. It's starting, and honestly, it's ending with meeting people where they're at.
Right.
That's the most important thing. I don't need to be given a whole bunch of techniques and a whole bunch of sheets and resources and all that kind of stuff if I can't start by meeting somebody where they're at. So that 800 number I provided earlier, they will start by meeting people where they're at. 988, meet people where they're at. Meet somebody like Jacqueline, who's with the Eric A. Garcia You Are Enough Foundation. Meet people where they're at. The clinicians that are doing work out there, the promoters, all of us. It's simply starting by simply meeting people where they're at and coming in without judgment.
Yeah.
We don't want any shame or judgment in that. It's hard enough. What people are going through is hard enough. We just want to meet people where they're at and be in that moment.
No, and you're right, and that's something that I teach my team now. Is one, I always tell them whenever there's an incident at schools, because we're in the elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. People don't realize that. These kids, they need us more than ever right now.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in these schools. But I teach my team to regulate first. Regulate yourself.
Yes.
Even though, like, we're trained to regulate the student when they're going through something, like regulating is slowing them down. Regulate it first. But first and foremost, regulate yourself. If you're not ready to get into that situation, don't jump into it, because all you're going to do is make it worse. And one of the behavior guys at one of the schools I go to, me and him just had this conversation today, is we just got a new student at one of the schools, and he comes from one of the continuation schools, and he's having a hard time because there's the other top bully student at the school. They've been fighting every day. Right. So, like, I had a good conversation with the kid today, matter of fact, and me and him got along because I can relate to him. Because, you know, he's like 9 years old. I think he's 4th, 5th grade. And he's just going around talking all this gang stuff. And I'm just like, so when we had a meeting last week, because we was the whole staff and me had to, it's called the level 5 team. Like tier 5. You know, like kids are tier 1, tier. Well, we're the tier 5 team, because this is me, all hands on deck, everybody involved. So before he came to school, we had the meeting, and they were saying how he was, you know, he's heavily into gangs and all this and stuff. And I was just like, okay, you guys, I didn't say nothing to the kid for the first week. I just kind of observed him. But I watched all the psych people come to the school and, like, do all this stuff. One lady came. She's not even part of the school. She's part of the county. And I get her job. But the one thing that I didn't like, what me and the behavior guy was talking about, and he didn't like it either because he saw it, is she was just walking around following him, writing stuff down. Now, that's a trigger for him. Like, don't do that, because now he feels like attacked. And then you got everybody else, because it was his first day. You got everybody here, someone over there, and he knows everybody's watching him. So at one point, he was just like, what are y'all doing? Like, he started cussing at everybody. Like, what are y'all doing? What are you writing? Like, just leave me alone. Stop following me. And so me and the behavior guy was like, look, everybody just need to stop. Like, give him his space. Like you said, meet him where it's at. Don't make him feel attacked, because if everybody's jumping on him, he's going to throw that energy right back at you. So I finally approached him today. It's crazy that we're talking about this, because I really did approach him today. And, well, yesterday I had played football with him. But he didn't know who I was. I saw him out there in the field because he's a football guy. Saw him out on the field. He was playing football, so I just kind of went over there. I started throwing the football. I was like, hey, you in football? He's like, yeah. I was like, what's up, man? How you doing? And then I left him alone. That's me. Like, I love doing the 2x10. Spin it.
The 2x10?
It's called a 2x10. It's restorative practices. A 2x10. It's spending 2 minutes with someone for 2 minutes a day for 10 days straight. Just building that relationship. Not saying too much. Just oh, hey, like I said, I was over there throwing the football with him. Oh, what's your name? Cool. I'm Coach Mike. Walked away. Today, I was like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. He's like, what's it? At first, he was like, oh, all right, no, it's nothing like that. I was like, come here.
Yeah.
I said, look, I've been noticing you. I said, I know everything about you. I said, I'm from Inglewood.
Yep.
I can relate to you. Because, you know, he's a gang member. It's like, I was you at your age.
Yeah.
I know what you're going through right now. I said, I know you don't like all these teachers and the psych people coming to look at you. I said, let me tell you something. You've been getting in trouble the last few days. So what I want you to do is anytime you feel like you need a break from class or you feel like you're going to fight, come get me.
Yeah.
Come talk to me first. Because with me and my team, you're not in trouble. But if you fight somebody or you're disrupting to the class, I said, what's going to happen? They're going to go back to the office. They're going to write an ODR on you, and you just get in trouble. I don't want to see that. Yeah. I said, you're a good football player. Yeah. I've been playing football with you, excuse me, for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I said, don't you want to grow up and be a football player? And he was like, yeah. Cool, I can help you with that. But we got to go down the right path.
Right.
So I said, come talk to me. And he was like, all right, cool. He was like, cool. So at recess, and this was morning time, so at recess, he literally came up to me and was like, hey, coach, well, throw the ball.
Good.
Like, let's go. I got a football.
What grade is he in?
He's in fourth.
Fourth grade. Okay, so he got a lot of time in front of him as well.
Yeah.
Good.
He's in fourth grade. So, yeah, I played football with him. And then afterwards, I went to the behavior guy and told him what I did. And I was like, yeah, see, that's what he needs.
Yeah.
He don't need people attacking him, evaluating him. I said, give him some breath right now. He's new at the school.
Yeah.
I said, I know we all trying to watch him, but at the same time, we got to relate to him. We got to meet them where they at. You know what I mean? Like, he's new to this. Like, we can't all just jump on him. Like, he's going to feel attacked.
You're also breaking the school to prison pipeline for him and for probably a lot of other kids as well, and that which needs to be broken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, unfortunately, I had to tell him. I said, I know you can't relate to none of these teachers and staff. Yeah. They can't relate to you. Yeah. They didn't grow up in the hood like you. Yeah. I said, I was you. So come talk to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to see you do, guys. I don't want to see you go back to the office. I don't want to see you go down the wrong path. I said, okay, cool. So me and him, cool. So after the day, after we play football, I said, Monday, what we doing? We'll play football again.
Good.
Like, cool. See you Monday morning.
Good. What you're describing is actually they don't play football necessarily unless somebody asks, but there's a lot of services that are provided through the Department of Mental Health that do exactly. I didn't know it was called a 2x10, and I appreciate learning about that.
And restorative practices is called 2x10.
And so what they'll do is when there's an epidemic right now with homelessness in LA County and across the country, but in LA County where we're focusing right now. And part of it is doing exactly that. So it's teams that go out and they're just going to go out and hang out. They're going to hang out for a little bit. They might get cussed out or they might get ignored or whatever. They're like, cool, I'll be back tomorrow. Might offer a bottle of water or something like that. And then what they do is some of our programs will actually spend 3 months plus just doing that 2x10 strategy to go out and just be present and establish that relationship. So then we can move it on to the next step and everything. Because this stuff doesn't necessarily happen overnight.
100% don't. And that's why I train my team. I said, look, we're here just to help them with their well-being and to motivate them to stay in class and stay in school, going on the right path. I said, but at the same time, it's going to take time. I said, let's just start building relationships with them.
That's fantastic.
That's all we need to do. I said, once we start building relationships, then we can ease on to the other stuff. But right now, building a relationship, building trust is the most important thing.
Yes.
'Cause if I don't have their trust and they don't trust you, you're not going to get nowhere with them.
Right. You're absolutely right. And it's just one step at a time and just being in that moment.
So even though, like, I don't have my own personal, what we call mentees, like my mentors, they all have like 5 mentees each that every day they check in with these mentees. But because I'm a lead there, I adopt mentees. Yeah. So because I'm at the schools anyway, so and I'm with the students, so I kind of always look around and see, okay, well, who needs help.
But you're also doing it with your teammates. Yeah. So you're mentoring your teammates, and you were telling me earlier about you hanging out with the vice principal as well. So you're mentoring and spending that time in that space with the staff as well.
Well, yeah, that too, and I talk to the staff as well because you got to understand, and I know this. The teachers, they're not trained like us. They're not trained in positive psychology or restorative practices. Yeah. They don't know this stuff, right? Yeah. They're straight academic. Yeah. And so I can see how they get burnt out really fast. Yes. Because also they're not taking care of their well-being. They're not regulating themselves. So it's easy. That's why I tip my hats out to teachers, and I can see how some of them, they just get burnt out and I walk in these classes, and like the first day at one of these schools I walked into, I literally thought I walked into a scene of Lean on Me. Yeah. It was literally that chaotic.
Yeah.
I'm not even exaggerating. I was like, wow. And so at another school, that team, we had to spend 2 weeks with this teacher and kind of give her some tips on how to, like we call them brain breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like during class, if you can't get a hold of the classroom as a whole, you know, do a brain break. Stop your work. We had brain breaks from a minute to 15 minutes. Yeah. Where they're just fun little activities. Yep. Just to kind of reset their brains. Okay, let's go back to work. And it worked. After 2 weeks, she had control of her class.
Yeah. I'm guessing too. My spouse is a elementary school teacher as well, and she's feeling burned out. It's exhausting what's going on and stuff like that. But it's and the generationally things have changed as well. So I'm thinking about where we are in this community. That it starts at home and it's part of home. So kudos to all teachers for what they're doing and the work that they're putting in. They're trying to take care of the curriculum standards and everything. And they're surrogate parents in some cases for these kids as well. And I think about the kids and the families that we work with as well. And it's you can't blame anybody for that, because especially in this community, we've got people that are living and working in the Antelope Valley. But there's every time I'm coming in, there's bumper to bumper traffic going down the 14 freeway and everything. So you've got parents leaving the community early that are spending 2-3 hours to get to work, to do whatever they need to do, take care of the families and everything by working down there. And then they're spending 2 to 3 hours to get back in the evening. So they're getting back into the community at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And we're dependent on those teachers, but we need to figure out a way, how can we support each other in that? How can we support the parents? How can we support the teachers? One of the things, and actually this is something that we're doing more of right now, we've been doing a lot of work within the department and in the community around motherhood and maternal mental health. Perinatal mental health. One of the groups that got left behind a little bit in doing that work, and we're playing some catch up right now, is we're spending more time talking about fatherhood and men's groups as well. And part of that is actually getting dads, getting all the parents involved in the community, and can really partner with the schools as well. Something that I did a long time ago. The little story is when my kids were in elementary school, I wasn't the parent that was showing up, and when I heard about the PTA, I was like, I am not joining the PTA. Last thing I need is another meeting and everything like that. So what ended up happening was there was another mom that was actively involved in the PTA and went to some state conference or something like that, came back with an idea that came from somewhere else, and they called them like a dad's breakfast or a father's breakfast or something like that. So she said, well, I don't need you to join the PTA, but can you do this for me? And so what we started doing is we started doing an event where, and it would be a little bit hard if the commute's really long for folks, but what we did was school started at 8 a.m. for my kids' school. We would get together and do we called it a dad's breakfast from 7 to 8 a.m., like once a month on a Friday morning and everything. And the principal would come out and talk about what's going on, and the parents would be there with the kids. And we called it a dad's breakfast, but it was open to any parent who didn't get the opportunity to spend that kind of time with their kid at school. And we're talking about just once a month. And what that did was the kids were proud of having their parents there, and the parents were getting to know the principal and the vice principal and some of the faculty, and they were used to being on campus, and then the staff were used to seeing them, and there was just this really good energy, and it was building on itself, which is kind of cool. We would do some trivia games, and we would actually we played a game, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And what we would do is we would have the kids and their teachers come up with questions. We do kind of like a game show thing. We didn't have any budget or money for any of this stuff. So what we did was I would go pick up like those 99-cent bags of frozen peas and stuff like that, or frozen vegetables. And I would tell people, I said, look, if nobody starts donating for prizes for this thing and everything, you're just going to end up with frozen vegetables for these prizes. So the crazy thing was we ran that thing for probably 3 or 4 years, and I just heard that it's still in operation. Oh, wow. It's been like 10, 15 years since this has been going on, which is cool. But the thing is we never got donations for the prizes because people actually started to like the idea of the frozen vegetables, which is, it's goofy.
It is.
So it doesn't matter what we do, as long as we're doing it and we're doing it in community with each other. It is so powerful for that consistency and that repetition. You're talking about this young man that you're playing football with. Just simply that 2 minutes, simply connecting with him consistently. That's what our kids and our families and our communities need.
And that's something that, again, we teach that to my team. We teach that to the staff there. They need consistency. And because the one thing they don't have when they're at home or in these communities, they don't have consistency.
Right.
And that's very important. So that's one thing that we definitely do every day is consistent. So even like today, I was telling my team, I said, look, because I just adopted this guy as my mentee.
Wonderful.
But I'm not going to be here next week. So I need one of you guys to play football with him. Like just for 15 minutes, just
yeah.
throw the ball with them.
Yeah.
And they like, cool, okay, good, we got you.
Like, that's the job. That's the job.
That's the job. I had one of my mentors 2 days ago. He was like, I can't believe I get paid a lot of money to do this. He really was like shocked. He was like, I can't believe I get paid to do this.
You know what? I honestly, I feel the same way. I really do. It's like they pay me to be in community with people.
Yeah,
this is best job ever.
Yeah, and going back to the teachers, like kudos to the teachers. I mean, because they still show up every day.
Yeah, yeah.
And they know they feel burnt out, but they still show up every day, and I love that. And they show up with a smile.
Yes.
You know, and the one thing I love about it is they love that we're there now helping them. Mm-hmm. Like I get so much praise every day. Like, thank you guys for being here and helping us, because we're giving them a break too, and they need that break. Good. Like, so whenever when we first go to a school, we observe every class, and we pick out the problem classes, and we say, so we go in and we talk to the teachers, say, hey, you know what, every day, we always ask them first, like, hey, when do you normally have your high energy? Right. It's typically always after lunch. Right. After lunch or a recess. That's when it typically is. So it's like, okay, cool. We're going to come in here for like 5-10 minutes. We may do a brain break, or we might sit at the back and observe. There's classrooms now where they're used to us now. Yeah. So whenever we walk in the class, it's just our presence. Yep. The class will be like, they won't do it. They won't say that. Yep. But I'm good. I'm like, that's cool. I'm going to come in here every day and do this until you guys finally realize, sit down and do your work. Like, stop giving the teacher a hard time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to pull you outside and we're going to have a brain break.
Tell me more about the brain break piece. What are you guys doing on the, what is the purpose of the brain break? I got some things I'm thinking about, but I want to hear from you.
It's just a reset. Okay. It's just a reset. Yep. Whatever they're doing, it's like a plot twist. Yep. Okay, you're running around the class doing all this stuff. Okay, stop. Yep. Let's reset. Everybody needs to reset. Yep. So that's what it's called, a brain break. It's literally fantastic. Just giving your brain a break.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Awesome. There's some things that resources I've been looking at just in the last week alone, because we're trying to help kids and families and sports teams as well recover from all these fires that are going on. And when we live in a state of constant trauma, we're constantly on edge. We're constantly tense. And the way the brain works is you've got, like, I'll use my hand as an example. Let's pretend that the outside of my hand, that's your cerebellum, and that's like where all your higher function, the front of your brain, back of your brain. You got all like the executive thinking is going on there and everything. Right. Below that, you have you have other stuff down there, but you have something called the limbic system. Mm-hmm. That's your that's like your lizard brain kind of a thing. That's like where the fight or flight. That's where emotions are at and all that kind of stuff. And then below that, you've got your brainstem. That actually, the brainstem is really where the lizard brain's at. That's like what's keeping your heartbeat going and all that kind of stuff. But what happens is when we're experiencing crisis or trauma or moving to a different school, or we got in trouble, we got in fights, the kids that you're talking about, what happens is they're not necessarily, they're not able to relax the body, so they're not able to really stay in that executive functioning place. So they literally, that pops back, and it's just focusing on the limbic system. They're literally flipping their lid, because what's happening is they're going to that fight or flight, and then they're constantly in that space, whether it be trauma, whether it be crisis, whether it be abuse, whatever it may be. Moving a lot can do this as well. And so just imagine living in that constant state of that crisis. I'm thinking back of the story that you shared earlier, and when you had that moment where it's just like you were thinking you didn't have anything to live for, and everything was over. You were in a state of crisis at that moment, and that was really that limbic. That was that limbic system, and that was the amygdala, and that was the brainstem that was really kind of controlling all of your functioning. You weren't able to be. Understandably, you weren't able to be in that executive functioning space. And so what you needed, and what this kid that you're playing football needs, and what the brain break needs and everything, it's that reset. Yeah. And it's going to be different times for different people. But the important thing is to just be in that very moment and just help still the body, help get involved in either some mindfulness or some mindlessness activities where it's just let things go for a little bit.
Yeah, it's similar to what you were saying about how you was being trained in negotiation. It's like slow things down. Yes. It's like, we want to break this. So let's slow it down. Yeah. Let's reset. Yeah. And it's kind of like what Mel Robbins always talked about here. Because now you get into neuroscience, and I just started getting into this about the prefrontal cortex and all that, about your habit loops. Yep. And, whenever you do something different, your mind, whenever someone hesitates, that's your mind saying, wait, stop. It's protecting you. Yeah. Because you don't know, you haven't been through this before. Yep. So is your mind protecting you, and it's not part of your habit loops? Because everything that we do is part of our habit loops.
Yes.
And that's why we try to tell people in positive psychology is to create new tiny habits.
Yes.
So you get on the right path, because we live by our habit loops. What our brain is used to. But once we do something that we're not used to, our brain stops us, and that's that hesitation. Our brain stops us and say, wait.
Right.
What are we doing here? We've never done this before.
Right. And goes back to your fight or flight system.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's all part of that. And then I want to talk about secondary trauma.
Sure.
Because that's we're gonna be running out of time in a minute, but it's a couple of more things I want to talk about. It's a lot I want to talk to you about.
And I'll be back whenever you want.
Yeah. Because this is something that me and Lisa, I'm part of the board of Action for Kids.
Okay.
The child.
Yes.
Oh my God, Lisa, don't kill me. Child abuse center. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're part of the LA County.
Yep.
You work for LA County,
Yeah.
I can't explain it right now. Lisa's gonna kill me. She was on my show last week.
And Rosie, is Rosie
Is
Rosie still with it, or she used to be?
No,
no,
she is.
She's working as a promoter now too with the county
Yeah.
as well.
So we just had a board meeting last night.
Fantastic.
So Rosie's still a part of it. Lisa's the chair now.
Good.
So, so Lisa and I we've been talking a lot about secondary trauma.
Yes.
And that's something that a lot of people are just not aware of.
Yes.
I went through secondary trauma. Like I said, I've been through a lot. Man, going through positive psychology and all the stuff that I'm learning now, like I can see everything from my past, like how it all like works now. But I had a meeting today with the vice principal, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
And because we was meeting about other things about our program, but we also met about this another student who just acts out. And she told me his backstory, because I've been trying to connect with this kid for like 2 weeks now, and everything I tried, I just could not connect with.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where I said, okay, like I think the other day, like he was just saying a bunch of disrespect things for him. I said, okay, you're not ready to talk today. That's fine. We'll talk tomorrow. And I just leave it alone, like because there's in one ear and out the other. But today, when she was telling me his backstory, and it's the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, now I get it. I completely understand why he's acting out.
Yeah.
It definitely is secondary trauma. And so when you hear the story of why he's acting out, it's not their fault. Like a lot of these kids are really good kids, and it's not their fault. He doesn't even realize he's been affected by secondary trauma, about everything that's going on in his household. And I mean, hearing the story, like it really, I was emotionally drained after that meeting. Yeah. Just hearing his story, like, because I felt it. Yeah. Because I know what he's going through. And it's like, wow. Like now it feels like, I felt sorry for the kid at first. Like I feel bad and I want to help him. And like me and her was even talking like, man, we've been trying everything. Nothing is working. And we're like, what do we do now? Right. You know, but we're not giving up. But it's like, we just don't know what to do next. But hearing his story just put a whole different perspective. Like, okay, so now I'm like, okay, I need to approach this differently. Mm-hmm. Like I know I approached it correctly first, but I need not to give up so easy. I just need to figure something out there. I just haven't figured it out yet. Because and I know it's part of, he's just not ready yet. Yeah. And I got to respect that. Yeah. And that's part of what I was telling my team earlier after the meeting. I was like, only thing we can do right now, that what I can think of, is continue to be that positive reinforcement. Yep. So whenever we see him, it's like, hey, how you doing? Give him a fist bump, high five. And that's it. Yeah. Again, a 2x10. Yeah.
Again, what grade is he in?
He's in the same class. So
he's the
he's the guy that I was talking about. He's the bully of the school. Okay. That the new kid, they keep bumping head and they keep fighting.
So you're working with both. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I'm trying to get to both of them.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But he's not there yet. Yeah. And that's something that I tell my team, like I said, we just got to continue to be that positive reinforcement, because he's just not there yet. And it's like most people, if someone's not ready, you got to respect it. Mm-hmm. Like, and hopefully he just turns a corner or something clicks one day to where he's ready. Yeah. But until he's ready, like we just got to be there. Yeah. You know, even though it's hard because we see him going through the pain. And like when I look at the kids and they're acting out, I see them acting out. Yeah. But for me, I'm looking deeper into it. It's like, I know it's coming from somewhere. Right. You're not just acting out to be acting out.
And he's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid.
And so if the adults can be adults to help structure that environment, and we can let the kids be kids, that's a big deal. It's kind of like the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different outcome.
Right.
So for a kid, he's a kid, everything. But I appreciate you guys approaching this from looking at what's a different way that we can approach it. I want to hear kind of what's going on and what the strategy is now. You got me on the edge of my seat.
Well, we just had a meeting today,
Okay.
so
So you haven't fixed it yet?
no, we haven't fixed it yet. So he was out today.
Okay.
So he wasn't in school today,
Okay.
and that's why we had a meeting.
Okay.
So we have another meeting Monday morning.
Okay.
And we're just going to reconvene, and because we do know we can't put him in the same class.
No.
Like that's just not working.
Right.
Because the last 2 weeks, every day was just a fight.
Right.
So even though we was trying to work with him, now we're like, okay, we're not giving up on him, but at the same time, we have to protect the other kids too. Because if we keep putting them in this class, it's a disruption to them. It's not fair to the other kids because some of those kids want to be in there and learn.
And it wipes the teacher out too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
We haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
Because we tried everything. But the great thing about it is we're never giving up.
Yep.
We just got to reapproach it.
Yep.
Take a break.
Yep.
Sometimes we just need a break. I'm glad the weekend is here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hit it back on Monday and put our heads together and figure it out.
Let me offer, and I hope this stuff doesn't change up soon, because I know that there's stuff going on in the world, and I don't want to get into the politics of it or anything like that. But right after the pandemic started, I was involved in doing some work with the Department of Mental Health, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and this thing called the UCLA Centers for Excellence. And what it was is the Department of Mental Health and this UCLA Center were doing work to provide information to the Archdiocese, to the teachers, on how they could work with kids that are struggling with all sorts of stuff, because the pandemic messed a lot of us up and everything. So what we did was, through SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration with the federal government, actually has posted resources. They're available, at least right now, they're available online, and they can be downloaded. And it's a series of worksheets and strategies and activities that can be applied at a bunch of different ages. And so when we were doing this workshop, the goal was to give these, and these are readily available, and you don't have to be a mental health professional to implement them, but sometimes it helps to know somebody that knows where this stuff's at. I can try to get you the link later on. Yeah. But what we might be able to do is it's that progressive thing. It's over time. It's a restorative process where you're developing relationship, and there's some right off the shelf worksheets that might be useful that the teacher can use, you can do it with the kid. The kid can actually help other kids learn how to do these worksheets as well. They're accessible like that. And that might be those might be the building blocks, because you can use that. There's this thing called triangulating. And we talk about triangulating as being a bad thing sometimes, where people are manipulating other people. Sometimes, let's say you and I are working on something, sometimes it takes a third party or a third something. So if let's say I'm the kid that you're working with, and you're the mentor, and you're trying to connect with me, and I don't want anything to do with you. This worksheet or this activity might be something that you can get me to focus on while we're doing it together, and there's some triangulating that's going on there. So it's not about you sitting in front of me saying, hey, do this, or what's going on, or trying to get something directly out of me. You can use that activity. Honestly, the football does the exact same thing. You can use that activity and to kind of triangulate that situation a little bit. And some of these resources, like I said, through SAMHSA, are available directly. They're available to teachers, parents, you and me. I'll try to get you a link for all that stuff. But those are the building blocks. So you don't necessarily have to beat your head against a wall to figure out, what are we going to do to change this kid? It's like, we can open up the conversation about what can we collectively do to support this kid in this environment, and who are the other people that need to be supported at the same time.
Right. No, and you're right. And the one thing, and I'm holding back right now because there's so much I want to say about that. Yeah. But just out of respect of him and his family and everybody's involved, I can't talk too much about it.
Keep it confidential.
Yeah,
but we can talk generalities. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but when we get off here, I could definitely pick your brain about it and all that. But the last thing I want to talk about is men.
Yes.
And in mental health.
Yes.
Being vulnerable and speaking up.
Yes.
And the one thing I'm getting, by being in these schools is because it's me and I think 4 or 5 other men that's part of this big program for the women. Yes. So they constantly thank you for being a male presence here, because that's what a lot of these kids need.
It really is.
And another reason why I do this is because, I cry on this show. I'm honest about my path because I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
I live my truth, and this is my truth. It's my life. And honestly, the way I turned out, everything that I went through now, it made me who I am.
Yeah.
And I love that. Would I have loved to have a different path? Of course, everybody would have.
Yep.
But
Yep.
this is my path. This is my truth, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything. But I also do this because I want to show other men that it is okay to talk about your path. We don't always have to be hard. We don't always have to be that tough. That tough figure out there. I know we have to be the protectors, but at the same time, we got to protect ourselves too.
Yes. 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 So I know in the Antelope Valley, we've got AV AIM that's going on. We've got a number of different departments are doing different programs. There was a great weekend program back in December for men that was put on through DCFS. And so there's the Department of Mental Health is doing this work. Public Health is doing this work. Health Services is doing this work. We are implementing a lot more resources and a lot more time that's focusing on fatherhood. I've got a commitment, and so I'm a manager. I manage people who manage people who manage people who deliver services, kind of thing. But I need to keep that sword sharp for myself as well, and I want to be involved and kind of put my money where my mouth is. Yeah. We're actually getting ready. I'm going to be participating on Thursday nights with Public Health to do a men's group, just to get together, and we're going to start doing this on Thursday nights. Hopefully, it'll start up in a few weeks. We're waiting for a start date. All of our mental health programs have champions that are focused on fatherhood. They got champions that are focused on different topics and everything, but we're specifically leaning into fatherhood. The Board of Supervisors, LA County Board of Supervisors, just passed an initiative or a resolution where we're focusing on homelessness already, but there's a specific focus on focusing on prenatal care for people who are in a house, and also fatherhood issues and men's health issues for people who are unhoused as well. We're leaning into that space. One of the guys in our department, his name's Dr. Ed Armstrong. He and a friend of mine who's also happens to be my boss named Jesus Romero Jr., they're leading the initiative within the Department of Mental Health, department-wide, around focusing on men's mental health issues and fatherhood issues. Ed is involved in a program called CalWorks. I don't know if you've ever heard about it or not. It's part of like the welfare to work programs and things like that. And there's counseling and there's resources available. And you'll see CalWorks posters like in bus stops and everything, and things on TV and stuff. And all of the advertisement features women. And what happens, though, is that there are men that are left out of the picture. So what the systems have done is we've inadvertently sometimes sent the message that it's women that need to be doing this work, and the resources are for women. So we want to make sure those services are still available to everybody, including women. So we're not cutting back on anything. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to lean into that space so people know things like CalWorks and counseling services and group services and all that stuff are available to men as well. So keep a lookout for that, and hopefully we'll get that word out even more. And you're helping by even talking about this right now, so I appreciate this.
And I would love to be a part of the men's group that you're going to do on Thursdays. Like, I've always wanted to do that. I even told you, I think when we talked at the park that night, I've always wanted to get into like the juvenile hall systems and all that stuff. And I've always wanted to get into the schools, so I'm really grateful for this opportunity that I'm in the schools now, making a difference, because I hear it every day from one or two teachers like, man, we're so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much.
So we'll put it right now. So Jordan, you heard it from Mike and from me. We're coming. And we're there to help out and support in any way we can. And we want to see more of this grow as well. We want to see this in more spaces. So I'm hoping that we have more opportunities to do it. I'm looking for more men to lean in. I just did a wonderful event at a church right around the corner here about a month or so ago. Powerful men's, there was a panel discussion, and there was a lot of just powerful engagement. I got a call. I was kind of bummed out because I wasn't able to do it because I was sick a couple of weeks ago. But there was, I think it was through AV Uplift, actually was doing I think it was AV Uplift, I apologize if I'm getting it wrong, was doing a bowling night just for the guys, just to get out and connect with each other, to blow some steam off and to be with each other in community and in fellowship in that way. So I'm excited about seeing more of this going on. And kind of like you were saying earlier, that like sometimes you'll cry on the show and everything. That's a good thing to be able to express emotion. I love the fact that we're starting to lean into a space where we're acknowledging openly, and you've been doing this actually all through all the topics that we've been talking about, that we need to take care of our men's mental health if we're going to support our families and our communities and be a part of our families and communities, and especially as you're describing in the work you're doing in our kids' lives.
100%. And like you, that one time I missed the DV thing. Because I had
and we missed you.
No, I know. And as much as I wanted to be there, but I was in training for this job. And that's the thing. My thing I'll tell you, that's like huge. I couldn't have missed it, like because they was like it was mandatory.
Yes.
And as much as I want to be there, like I was like,
there'll be more opportunities like that. Yeah.
But I was still able to participate.
Yes,
even though I wasn't there.
You recorded something from the
I
studio
recorded
here,
something.
actually. Yeah,
I recorded something and submitted it.
That was awesome.
I promoted it. So yeah, I'm gonna always. That's my friend. That's the girl. And I'm gonna introduce you to her. That's the girl that sat on my bed for 5 hours.
Okay. Okay.
She's a good friend of mine. She actually works at the place next door.
That's awesome.
But anyways, we are running out of time. I do want you to come back because there's so much. Like I said earlier, I want to make these conversations. I want to normalize them.
Yes.
Like I continue want to have these conversations.
Yes.
I have other men that's going to come on the show too because I want to have more men on the show because I continue want to talk about it. I have good men that are doing great things in the community, and I want to start talking about it.
Absolutely.
Like, I just, our kids need us.
Yep.
This year, I'm focused on our youth and our kids.
Wonderful.
That's why my show is just focused. Like all I've been talking about is kids.
Yeah.
Doing this mentorship is so important to me. Because being in these schools has definitely opened my eyes. Even though I've worked with kids all my life, like even on all the shows, entertainment shows I worked in, they was all kids shows.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that was just always my calling. But now I'm actually giving back. I'm helping, just doing my part to make this generation better and like showing them another path.
Wonderful.
And it got to be about the kids. Like for me, that's all I'm doing right now. Like that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like so, anything I can help you with kids, I'm there.
We're in.
Like I'll talk, I'll speak. I'm not the best talker, best speaker, but I will tell my stories, I will tell my experiences, and be honest and open with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being back.
no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Cool.